Metro police arrested Pawn Stars Corey Harrison early Friday morning, accusing him of driving drunk, a police report obtained by 8 News Now says. Harrison was swerving while driving a truck near Maine and Charleston. Corey Harrison's journey on Pawn Stars is marked by both triumph and heartache. Beyond fame, he faced a near-fatal motorcycle crash, personal losses in 2 divorces. Despite these struggles, he remained dedicated to the family business and his role on the show. His life off-screen revealed the pain hidden behind the spotlight. Tune in as the shadows of his past hint at more untold stories, triumphs, tragedies, and a pawn shop dynasty. Corey, born in April 1983 in Las Vegas, came into the world as part of a family already deep into the pawn game. His grandpa, Richard Benjamin Harrison, and his dad, Rick Harrison, started the gold and silver pawn shop back in the early 1980s. Alongside his 5 siblings, the future businessman grew up around the shop, learning the trade from an early age. By the time he was 9 years old, he was already helping out at the store, soaking up everything he could about the business. But Corey had no idea fate held a twist that would alter his life forever. The shop was not always a famous landmark. It started as a modest secondhand store, dealing in coins and jewelry. Over time, as Las Vegas grew, so did their business. There's good and there's bad, Corey later said, noting how, as a family in the spotlight, he faced the challenge of being constantly approached by fans. I have young children, and it's a real pain to try and go out to dinner somewhere without people just walking up wanting pictures and bothering us all the time. The turning point came in the year 2009 when the History Channel decided to take a chance on a show about a family-run pawn shop. That was when Pawn Stars was born and the Harrison family became household names on screen. Corey's laid-back personality came across as easygoing, but there were tensions bubbling under the surface. As the show gained popularity, Corey started wanting more control over the business. By season 6, he demanded a bigger cut of the shop's profits. He wanted 10% or threatened to walk away. Eventually, he got 5%, with a promise of more down the line. This move showed that the reality star was not just another face on television, he meant business. Despite the family squabbles, the entrepreneur played a big part in the shop's success. He even got his childhood friend, Chum Lee, a job at the shop when Chum Lee was in his early 20s. Over time, Chum Lee became one of the most entertaining and beloved figures on the show. The 2 friends, along with Rick, made appearances beyond Pawn Stars, even showing up in an episode of iCarly in 2014. They launched a game show called Pornography, adding another feather to their cap. But life was not always smooth sailing for the TV figure known for his hefty build. Corey hit a whopping 400 pounds at his heaviest by the year 2010. The weight started to take a toll on his health, and doctors warned him about the risk of diabetes. That wake-up call pushed him to take drastic action. He underwent gastric band surgery, which helped him shed nearly 200 pounds. The transformation was nothing short of impressive, and the shop owner did not stop there. He completely changed his lifestyle, sticking to a healthier diet and exercising regularly. Boxing became his go-to workout, and he even got back into snowboarding, something he had not been able to do for years because of his size. In the midst of getting his health on track, Corey faced another scare. While riding his motorcycle at 40 miles per hour, he had to jump off to avoid a worse crash. Though he managed to survive, he ended up needing surgery on his hand, which required 8 screws and 2 plates. Despite the severity of the accident, he counted himself lucky to be alive. Tragedy struck the Harrison family in 2018 when his grandfather, Richard Benjamin Harrison, passed away at 77 years old due to Parkinson's disease. The loss hit the family hard, especially the 3rd-generation pawnbroker who had grown up working alongside his grandpa in the pawn shop. The old man's passing marked the end of an era for the Harrison family and the show. As if losing his grandpa wasn't tough enough, Corey's personal life took another hit when he and his second wife, Karina Kiki Harrison, divorced in September of the same year. The couple cited their busy work schedules as the reason for the split, though they parted on good terms. Just a month after the divorce, they welcomed their son, Richard Benjamin Harrison, named after the late family patriarch. Corey's first marriage had also ended in divorce. He married his high school sweetheart, Charlene, in 2009, but by 2015, the relationship was over. Charlene had worked at the pawn shop during their marriage, but after the split, she disappeared from the public eye. In 2023, Corey found himself in hot water again, this time due to a legal issue. While driving in Las Vegas, a police officer noticed his truck swerving on the road. The officer suspected he was under the influence and pulled him over. After failing a field sobriety test, Corey was taken to jail. Though he claimed he had only had 1 drink hours before being pulled over, the results showed otherwise, and he ended up being charged with driving under the influence, adding another blot to his record. If all that was not enough, the family faced yet another devastating blow in early 2024. Corey's younger brother, Adam Harrison, passed away at just 39 years old from a fentanyl and methamphetamine overdose. Adam's death was a harsh reminder of the opioid crisis sweeping across the country. The Harrison family mourned privately, but Corey shared a heartfelt post on social media expressing his grief and love for his brother. Through all these ups and downs, the television personality has remained a central figure on Pawn Stars. Despite rumors about health scares and personal troubles, he continues to show up, running the shop and keeping the family business alive alongside his father Rick and longtime friend Chum Lee. He is still a familiar face on television, with fans eagerly awaiting what's next for the Harrison family and their iconic pawn shop. Throughout his career, the seasoned businessman has built a reputation for being a shrewd negotiator. He learned early on how to spot valuable items and avoid getting scammed. One of his earliest lessons came when he was 19 years old. He thought he knew everything and ended up buying 5 fake Rolex watches. That mistake cost him a significant amount of money, but taught him a valuable lesson about being cautious in the pawn business. Over the years, he has seen some truly remarkable items come through the doors of the gold and silver pawn shop. From rare sports memorabilia to expensive jewelry and even historical artifacts, the shop has had its fair share of unique finds. One memorable instance involved a man who drove up in a luxury car with a trunk full of silver worth millions. Another time, a gambler pawned a Ferrari early in the morning after a night of heavy losses at the casino. Not all items brought to the shop are accepted, though. The expert pawnbroker and his team have had to turn down some bizarre offerings over the years: live animals, human skulls from a dental school, and questionable antiques that could cause legal trouble. His experience in the business has made him adept at quickly assessing whether an item is worth taking or not. Beyond the pawn shop, Corey has also been involved in various other ventures. He has become a well-known public figure, appearing at events and speaking engagements. His weight loss journey and personal transformation have inspired many, and he has often spoken about the importance of health and fitness. Despite the fame and fortune that Pawn Stars has brought him, he has always remained grounded. He credits his family, particularly his father and grandfather, for instilling in him a strong work ethic and a sense of responsibility. He has often said that the success of the shop is a result of years of hard work and dedication from multiple generations of the Harrison family. Corey's story was just a start. What went on inside the shop brought even more challenges, on-screen bonds and off-screen distance. Pawn Stars has been entertaining viewers for over a decade, with Rick Harrison and Austin Chum Lee Russell at the heart of it. While the duo seems to share a great bond on screen, things off-camera tell a different story. Despite their long history together, the shop's founder keeps his distance from his longtime colleague once the cameras stop rolling. The show kicked off in 2009, and by 2023, it had already hit 21 seasons. After wrapping up season 21 on June 20th, 2023, they launched a spin-off called Pawn Stars to America, where the owner, his son, and their comic relief took their act on the road, hunting for unique antiques. The second season of the spin-off began early the following year, and by April, they were already filming season 22 of the original show. Since the start, Pawn Stars has been about valuing and digging into the history of cool, quirky items. It's a simple formula but super effective, thanks to the lively cast, the shop, and his childhood friend. The two have been pals since grade school, even though their friendship had a rocky start with a fist fight over a misunderstanding involving the sister. They eventually patched things up and became inseparable. The shop's goofball got his first job at the gold and silver pawn shop when he was 21, starting as an intern before officially becoming a pawnbroker. He worked there for 5 years before the show took off, juggling jobs like managing a Quiznos and assisting at McDonald's. When the show debuted in 2009, it quickly gained traction. The mix of interesting artifacts, expert appraisals, and funny interactions made it a hit. The comic relief, with his goofy charm and knowledge of pop culture, stood out. Initially a background character, his personality soon earned him a bigger role. Fans loved his laid-back vibe, and it wasn't long before he became one of the most popular figures on the show. His playful jabs at the owner and the air kept things lighthearted, but he wasn't just about jokes. He had a knack for recognizing valuable pop culture items, proving he knew his stuff even if the boss sometimes doubted him. Despite the fun on screen, the real relationship between the shop's founder and his assistant has often raised eyebrows. One memorable moment was when the assistant tried to handle a deal involving a rare coin. Even though he called an expert and seemed to be doing everything right, the boss stepped in and took over. The deal fell apart, and the assistant was visibly frustrated. He later called the boss a tightwad, while the boss dismissed his abilities, saying he wasn't ready to manage the business. This kind of tension isn't new. Arguments and disagreements have popped up throughout the show's run. Both the shop's founder and his right-hand man have been busy with their own ventures. The latter opened his own candy shop in 2017, cleverly named Chum's Candy, on the boulevard. The store offers nostalgic sweets, jerky, and even toothpicks, earning positive reviews from customers. Meanwhile, the boss has been expanding the pawn shop business and even opened a restaurant called Rick's Rollin' Smoke Barbecue. Both of them have also been active on Cameo, making personalized videos for fans. The assistant's life outside the shop has been anything but dull. He faced legal trouble in 2016 when a police search during an investigation turned up drugs and unregistered firearms. Though he managed to avoid serious consequences by following the court's rules, the incident likely strained his relationship with his employer. Even though the boss isn't exactly spotless himself, this episode didn't help the assistant's reputation. Fans speculated that part of the boss's coldness toward his longtime colleague could be jealousy. The assistant's relatable everyman persona has made him a fan favorite, often overshadowing the shop's head. While the latter is seen as a serious, responsible one, the assistant is the lovable goofball, which naturally draws more attention. Add to that the assistant's flashy lifestyle. He's known for his collection of expensive shoes and cars, including a Carrera and a classic Impala, and it's easy to see how their different personalities could lead to friction. The boss, who's all about keeping the business afloat, doesn't appreciate his colleagues' impulsive spending. There have been instances where the assistant's mistakes cost the shop a lot of money. The heir once mentioned that a bad decision by the assistant ended up costing them over $200,000. Mistakes like these might explain why the boss doesn't fully trust him with important deals. As the shop grew, not everything went as planned, and tensions began to show. Success, scandals, and everything in between. Another possible reason for their strained relationship is simple. They're both busy. The shop's head has his hands full with the pawn shop, his restaurant, and other television projects. Meanwhile, his right-hand man has been managing his candy store and undergoing a personal transformation. In recent years, he underwent weight loss surgery and shed over 160 pounds, drastically improving his health and mobility. Despite these changes, the assistant has been keeping a low profile on social media. His candy store is still open, but its online presence hasn't been updated in a while. Even though the boss has been preparing his son to take over the shop, his longtime friend hasn't given up on his dream of becoming a manager. Fans doubt this will happen anytime soon, but his ambition hasn't wavered. Meanwhile, the shop's head's involvement in politics and other ventures has kept him in the spotlight. In November 2023, he was even honored as a Kentucky Colonel, a prestigious title awarded by the governor of Kentucky. Through it all, the dynamic between the shop's boss and his assistant continues to intrigue fans. On screen, they play their roles perfectly, but off-screen, their relationship seems more complicated. Whether it's due to personal differences, professional boundaries, or just busy schedules, the pair remains an essential part of what makes Pawn Stars so captivating. While their interactions might not always be warm behind the scenes, they know how to keep viewers entertained, and that's what really matters. Pawn Stars' rise to fame wasn't just about the items that came to the door, it was also about the characters who made the show what it is. The boss, the brains behind the operation, has always been portrayed as the tough, knowledgeable guy who doesn't take nonsense from anyone. His father, known as the Old Man, brought an old-school vibe to the show with his no-nonsense attitude and years of experience. The heir represents the younger generation trying to keep up with the family business. And then there's the assistant, who brings the humor and the relatability factor. The assistant's role in the show evolved over time. At first, he was just a funny guy in the background, but as viewers started to notice him, he became more prominent. His knowledge of pop culture items turned out to be a valuable asset. From comic books to vintage video games, he knew his stuff. This made him relatable to a younger audience who might not have been interested in antiques otherwise. Over time, he became a central figure in the show, often getting involved in major deals and appraisals. Despite his on-screen success, the assistant's personal life has been a bit of a roller coaster. After opening his candy store, he seemed to be doing well, but his legal troubles in 2016 cast a shadow over his career. The police search that led to the discovery of drugs and unregistered firearms was a major scandal. Although he avoided serious jail time, the incident affected his reputation and possibly his relationship with the shop's head. Meanwhile, the boss has always been seen as the more serious and responsible one. He's dedicated his life to the pawn shop and worked hard to turn it into a successful business. His restaurant has been doing well, and he's also involved in other ventures. Despite his busy schedule, he remains a face of the pawn shop and continues to be involved in the day-to-day operations. The dynamic between the shop's head and his longtime colleague is one of the things that makes Pawn Stars so interesting. While they might not always get along off-camera, their on-screen chemistry keeps viewers coming back for more. Whether it's the assistant making a joke or the boss rolling his eyes, their interactions are a big part of what makes the show fun to watch. Is the show's success driven by expertise or the drama and humor? Share your opinion, like, comment, and subscribe to join the conversation and never miss more exciting content.